Well, Happy New Year. Welcome to the Roaring Twenties. This is our first meeting of the new year, and we're glad you're with us. And we'll ask Reverend Bruce Wilson to kick off the new year and the new decade for us and give the invocation, and Constance Sanchez, our Chief Financial Officer, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Reverend?
Good morning. Happy New Year.
New Year, sir.
So let's take a moment, take a breath, create a little sacred space. Be aware of God's presence within us and all around us, in this room, in this community, in this world. Let us be aware and grateful for God's movement in this community, represented by those who are here to be acknowledged for gifts of love or service. Let us be aware of God's presence, blessing the good men and women of this council with a spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice. Let us pray for the grace of this council for God's grace to open their hearts and their minds to receive that blessing and to faithfully promote the lives and the welfare of all the people and industries and institutions of this community. Let us be aware of God's presence with all the people of this city, and let us pray for our community to rely on God's strength and to accept our responsibilities to one another without regard to race, class, creed, or sex, to the glory of God's name and the well-being of all people. Let us be aware of God's presence in the poor and neglected persons whom it would be easy for us to forget. The homeless and the destitute, the old and the sick, and those who must depend on others for daily bread. Let us pray for all who work with them, the compassion to help with dignity those who cannot help themselves, and the wisdom to know how to empower those who can. In the name of all that is holy, may the measure of the greatness of our community be manifest in the way that we treat the least, the last, and the lost, as we seek and serve the common good of all. Amen.
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 Thank you.
Good morning. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in honoring the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much. Ms. Huerta, if you'd call the roll, please, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Mayor McComb.
Here.
Council members Roland Barrera. Here. Rudy Garza.
Here.
Paulette Guajardo.
Present.
Gil Hernandez.
Here.
Michael Hunter.
Here.
Ben Molina.
Present.
Everett Roy.
Here.
Greg Smith.
Here.
City Manager Peter Zanoni.
Here.
City Attorney Miles Risley.
Here.
Mayor and Council, a quorum of the council and the required charter officers are present to conduct the meeting.
All right, we have a couple of proclamations and then a declaration. We're going to make one little adjustment. The first one on the agenda, Vision Zero Kickoff Day, we're going to move that down to the bottom of the proclamations and commendations so that it will be just prior to our consideration of a resolution. So the first proclamation will be for Martin Luther King Holiday Celebration and Commemorative March Day. If you'll join me down here in the well, and then a proclamation about Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month, and then the Mayor's Battle of the Bulbs award winners will be presented. So let's get started.
Line up right back here. Okay, sorry. And there he is now.
Good morning, ladies. How are you this morning?
Sir, how are you?
All right. All right, Martin Luther King Holiday Celebration and Commemorative March. And you ladies are the organizers and the directors. All right. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated was founded by 22 young African-American female college students in 1913. None of these ladies were in that group. On the campus of Howard University in Washington, D.C. The sorority has over 100-year history of championing humanity, justice, public service, civil rights, and women's rights specifically by participating in the National Women's Suffrage Voting Rights demonstration held in 1913 in Washington, D.C. Delta Sigma Theta sorority's alumni demonstrate accomplishments in many fields. The alumni include Lena Horne, Wilma Rudolph, Mary McLeod, the McLeod's what got the Bethune, Roberta Flack, Aretha Franklin, Cicely Tyson, and former United States Attorney General Loretta Lynch, just to name a few. Each year in the month of January, the Corpus Christi alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated come together to commemorate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, and this celebration march reminds us of our independence and reaffirms the society's commitment to the betterment of our communities through civility and service. Now, therefore, pursuant to the powers vested in me as the mayor of the city of Corpus Christi, I do hereby proclaim January the 20th, 2020, Martin Luther King Holiday Celebration and Commemorative March Day in Corpus Christi, and urge all citizens to commemorate the birth of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., and know that his legacy lives on. And I'll present this proclamation to you and ask you to say a few words.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for having us here again. This is our 34th year in organizing and sponsoring the MLK March. And we just want to ask the city of Corpus Christi to continue to support us, to acknowledge the holiday. This is a very special week for Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Yesterday, we celebrated our 107th anniversary, so we're overjoyed. So thank you for your support, and thank you for having us. Oh, and again, my name is Alexis Williams. I just start talking sometimes. So, yes.
We're glad you're here. I thought they were the Texas Tech cheerleaders or something here in the red and black outfits. So we're glad you're here. Let's get a picture over here. Thank you very much.
Dr. Scott. Oh. I haven't been to spin. I need to go back to spin. I spin. She knows it.
Well, just to add a little bit of information and history for you, I'll let her speak for herself.
Good morning. Unfortunately, but as it turns out in the long range, fortunately, I was at the Lorraine Hotel when Martin Luther King was killed. We were having a very short march there. I was the vice president at college in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we were there for marching. And the man who killed him, we actually saw him, who was across the street down in a lot of bushes. And we saw that and Martin Luther King was on the second level of the Lorraine Hotel. The rest of us were standing downstairs, ready to keep the march going. And the shot rang out, 2 shots rang out, one hit him. And they said, oh, he's been hit. And everything else, of course, fell apart. But I also was with his wife many years thereafter, was involved out of the black colleges I worked in with the civil rights things. And when Coretta and I did a number of things as a follow-up, and I simply wanted to say the world certainly turned and looked. And that's why the statue is in Washington, D.C., as you know, at the end of the long waterway, honoring Martin Luther King. Thank you.
And I'll tell you, you may not know this, but she was also the president of the Girl Scouts of America for how long? 3 years. So my wife being a Girl Scout, and then all of my activities in the Girl Scouts, when I found out she was the president of the big organization, I told my wife, you need to be pretty impressed. The president of the organization lives here in Corpus Christi at one time. So congratulations. Thank you. All right, going to get Councilman Hunter to help me with this one. And for those of you who are here for this one, it's Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month. If you're here for that, come on down.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, sir. Make sure you give me one of those. I did. Okay. Well, I am here to speak on Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month. During January, which is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, we as Corpus Christians recommit ourselves to eradicating human trafficking in our community and worldwide. New Life Refuge Ministries is working to combat human trafficking by creating a refuge of hope and healing for child survivors of sex trafficking, providing education to the community on the issue and its prevalence, and establishing partnerships with other organizations in the fight against modern-day slavery. We support legislation that decriminalizes the victims and prosecutes the perpetrators. The victims of human trafficking are exploited and compelled to work for little or no pay, and it is a crime that can take many forms, violating the very fabric of our society. During National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, we join the survivors, advocates, organizations dedicated to eradicating the commercial sexual exploitation of all people and all other forms of human trafficking.
Now therefore, pursuant to the powers vested in me as the mayor of the city of Corpus Christi, I do hereby proclaim January 2020 Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month in Corpus Christi in order to intensify our fight against this crime through refuge, education, and awareness. And I hope we're victorious, and we're victorious quickly on this. This is an awful situation, but we appreciate your efforts, and I'll give you this proclamation, and you say a word or two. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor and City Council members. So many of you in this room have been supportive of our efforts to end human trafficking. And like I like to say, we're working really hard to put ourselves out of business because we really want to see an end to this crime. So thank you very much for the proclamation today and declaring Human Trafficking Awareness Month here in Corpus Christi, January.
Well, thank you, and again, thank you for all your work. We'll get up here and get a picture.
Excuse me. We can put you on that end. We can put you on that end over there.
Thank you so much.
This is the after-game ceremonies right here. All right, well, Alyssa, or better known as the Energizer Bunny, is really doing a great job in the downtown and bringing a lot of focus down there and enthusiasm and excitement about downtown. And we're really trying to crank up downtown to, we can't ever go back, but we can certainly remember how well decorated years ago it was, and we can do it again. And so as we're moving forward, she's in charge of that. And so we had this year the Mayor's Battle of the Bulbs. And so Valero was a tremendous sponsor of this. And I'll let Alyssa make a few comments, and then we'll give our presentations to the winners. And then hopefully next year it'll be brighter and better and bigger. So we're always moving on up.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. Battle of the Bulbs is a concept that we conceived in order to really relight downtown during the holiday season. And this goes really well to augment the lights that our organization puts up. We invite all the downtown property owners to participate and decorate the downtown area. And we were so fortunate. This is the second year we've hosted Battle of the Bulbs. And this year we got some legitimacy with the mayor signing on for title and Valero signing on as a partner, presenting sponsor. And Valero's been a great partner to us at the Downtown Management District since we started our latest revitalization efforts a few years ago. So thank you so much. There were 28 participants in this year's Battle of the Bulbs. Our vision, again, is to really brighten up downtown for the holiday season and create something that encourages all of our community to come down, enjoy downtown, and remember what it was like, and also contribute, right, to the new future of downtown as it continues to hold a special place in the heart of our community. I'll go ahead and hand it over to Darcy with Valero to say a little bit about why this event was important to them.
Thank you, Alyssa. And I'm just going to basically echo what both of y'all said. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad to see lights back up in downtown, and we had a good time judging the different stops that had the lights. And so thank you for letting us be a part of it. And I'll let the mayor announce the winners.
Drum roll, please. All right. This award is presented for the best big building, and it goes to Omni Hotel. Is there somebody here from Omni? All right. We'll need to contact Mr. Rowling, see if he'd like to help us next year in this operation. All right, congratulations. All right, this one is the best window display, and it goes to K-Space Contemporary. So, come on down. And then this award, I mean, this is kind of a natural. I mean, I don't know. They shouldn't get an award. This is what they do all the time. It's very special. Oh, special. Oh, very special. Okay. This is the best use of lights. Janak Architects. That's really not fair for architects to be in all this kind of stuff, you know. But, yeah, there we go. Congratulations. The holiday champion, and it was a pretty creative, I was one of the judges, and I've been told never judge beauty contests or cooking contests because you make one person happy and the rest of them mad. But anyway, this is all for fun and nobody gets mad, but they really, they went all out to do it. For the holiday champion, that's Taylor Cravey Photography. Yeah. Well, she doesn't have enough fan. I'll give you. Let's see. Wait a minute. Here, let's see. There we go. All right, and on this one, huh? Oh, they're not here. Okay, well, they're not here, but this is for the People's Choice, and that is the Tees Salon. So, nobody's here for that. So I'll give you the, all right. Well, we thank all of you for your participation, and we look forward to next year. We hope it's bigger and better, and have to crank it up. There are going to be some others out there challenging you. So congratulations, and Happy New Year, and Merry Christmas, and you can rest for a month or two, and then we'll go at it again. Let's get a picture. Okay, this next proclamation is for a program that we hope everyone will participate in, and one that if it's successful, like we hope it will be, the community will be better off for it, and it's the Vision Zero Kickoff, and I'd like to have Councilman Molina do this one and tell us a little bit about it before we do that.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah. There it is. Okay. Wow. All right, so Vision Zero is an initiative that we're kicking off here in the city, and the idea is that we want to make our public rights-of-way safer for pedestrians and cyclists. And we've partnered with, well, we've got a lot of community partners. There's so many here to name, and I want to thank you all for supporting this initiative. We've got Superintendent Roland Hernandez here. We have so many organizations. I'm afraid if I start naming them all, I'm going to miss one. So Vision Zero, 172 transportation-related fatalities have occurred in Corpus Christi since 2015. One death is one too many. Vision Zero is a strategy to eliminate all traffic fatalities and severe injuries, starting with the ethical belief that everyone has the right to move safely in their communities and that system designers and policymakers share the responsibility to ensure safe systems for travel. The city recognizes that if crash trends continue for the foreseeable future, they would put into jeopardy the future growth of the residential population and employment base, and our reputation as a desirable city for future generations. The city will hereby commit to decreasing crash statistics by endorsing Vision Zero, which is a safe systems approach while increasing safe, healthy, equitable mobility for cities, commuters, and tourists who live, work, and play in the city of Corpus Christi. Corpus Christi is a leader in becoming the fourth city in the state of Texas to pursue these efforts, along with San Antonio, Austin, and Laredo. The year 2020 marks the kickoff of the city committing to be a Vision Zero community.
Now, therefore, pursuant to the powers vested in me as the mayor of the city of Corpus Christi, I do hereby proclaim January the 14th, 2020 Vision Kickoff Day in Corpus Christi, and urge all citizens to join us in creating a Vision Zero community for the city of Corpus Christi. And I really hope that we'll take this very seriously. One pedestrian death is too many, and there's no reason for that if we pay attention to what we're doing, be friendly when we drive. And so I applaud the group that's behind this and motivating it. Glad Ben has brought this forward, and we appreciate very much your commitment to it. And we're just hope everybody in here, and there's something about a pledge back here. I hope everybody will pledge to drive safely. Don't text and drive. Isn't that right, Chief? Don't text and drive. Because if you want to meet the chief on the side of Saratoga, just text and drive, and he'll be happy to talk to you. But we appreciate it. Drive safely, and I hope at the end of 2020 we can put -0 for fatalities as a result of our Vision Zero project. So thank you very much. You going to say a few words here? No. Okay. Well, we've got a lot of guys and ladies here that if I gave them all that, we wouldn't have time for a council meeting. So just again, thank you on behalf of the community for all you do. And yeah, we'll have y'all sign the pledge. And then anybody want to make a comment here? No? Traffic? Huh?
I'll just a quick comment. We're very excited to be a partner in this initiative. As you know, we have over 50 plus schools, 37,000 kids. Crosswalks are always important to us. You take the number of students, the number of parents, and the number of events that we have. I want to congratulate the city, our city manager. Thank you for bringing this to Corpus Christi. We're excited about it.
Hi. I'm Judy Telge. I chair the Transportation Advisory Commission here for the city of Corpus Christi. And when we met yesterday, we all said this is a fantastic initiative. We have our full support behind it. And thank you, city officials, for bringing this to Corpus Christi. It is very definitely needed. Thank you.
Yeah. We need a photo, and then we'll have everybody sign it right quick. And who do I give this to? Judy or who do I give that to?
Neil.
Well, I know you didn't come for a history lesson today, but one other thing here is that we may not know, and we see things going around. I see Charles Caffey out here, and probably a lot of you know Charlie, or maybe not. Some of you, he's a lot younger than most of you, but his family, if you've heard of Caffey Middle School, his family was the one that donated or made available the property where Caffey Middle School is out there. His father was a great civic-minded individual, and the family's kept it on. And so, Charlie, thank you for all you've done. And my kids, they were in the first class at Caffey Middle School when it was open. So you got burdened with a Macomb there, Charlie. Sorry about that.
So as they're signing this, the pledge basically says to look out for others, especially children, elderly persons with disabilities, people walking and biking. Slow down and look around, especially at intersections of driveways. Practice the rules of the road, including yielding to people walking. Be alert at all times. Share this Vision Zero pledge with family and friends. And one that it's not on there, but we probably should put on there is put your phones away while you're driving. And this pledge and more information about Vision Zero is available online at cctexas.com/Vision Zero.
One, public comment starts at 12, so if you haven't signed up, if you do that real quick, we're going to make one little change in the agenda. We're going to go back. We've got a declaration to make on the pledge, and then we'll go to public comment. And immediately following public comment, it was agenda item number 48 or 49, I think, was our regularly scheduled quarterly update on the Harbor Bridge project. But in light of the developments over the last few days, we've moved that up, so it will be made presentation by Flatiron Dragados, I believe. Is that correct? Yes. Just immediately, it's item 51, so that little presentation is going to be moved up to follow public comment just immediately, because we want as many people to hear the information as we can. There's a lot of interest in this project, and so that little change in our agenda will be made right after we get through with public comment. Okay, the item on our agenda is the resolution declaring Corpus Christi as a Vision Zero community with a commitment to save lives and decrease roadway and waterway accidents. Entertain a motion on item number 2.
Move to approve.
All right, this is an action item, so is there anyone that wants to speak directly to this item on the agenda? Item number 2 on the declaring.
Mayor, who seconded the item? I'm sorry.
I did.
Oh, thank you, Rudy.
Any public comment on this particular item? We've heard a lot of comments already. Seeing no public comment, then entertain, there's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll go in to public comment period. Ms. Huerta and Ms. Risley, if you'll do that.
Comments should be limited to city-related matters. There will be no questions of council or staff. Cell phones should be turned off, and there should be no loud talking or other loud noises.
Good afternoon. I'm City Secretary Rebecca Huerta. I'll be conducting the public comment period today. I'd like to remind everyone that a recording is made of the meeting. Please speak into the microphone located at the podium and state your name and address. If you choose to speak during this public comment period regarding an item on the agenda, you may do so. You will not be allowed to speak again, however, when the council is considering the item. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes. On the podium, you'll see a timer underneath the base of the microphone. It will let you know exactly how much time you have left to speak. Once your time is up, a buzzer will go off, and then you can conclude your comments. If you have a petition or any information pertaining to your subject, please present it to the city secretary. And with that, we'll start public comment. The first person on the list is Nina Gressett. You have some handouts. Oh, at the podium, ma'am, right up there. Yes, ma'am.
Do I say what we're talking about?
Go ahead and state your name and address first, and then you can start your comments then, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Nina Gressett, and I am working here in the oil industry and staying at Sunrise Beach RV Park. I'm not sure the exact address. I'm F4. Anyway, the reason I came today is because of the price increase that they are wanting to have at the RV park. And with the utilities, the water system, the roads, the lack of communication, the whole 9 yards. The place is really has not been kept up to the standards to the majority of the RV parks in the area. And they are charging what we're paying now, but yet now they're wanting to increase the prices per month 63%. And there's a lot of us that, yeah, we say the oil field industry, and the first thing everybody thinks is dollar bills. But there's a lot of us out there that are out here working to better improve the counties in this area. And no, we don't make the big dollar bills. And at the prices that they're wanting, they are moving us out. And as of right now, I would say probably at least a quarter or a half of the RV park is already leaving. And that is why I came here today and took off work, is so that y'all would know that the increases that you are asking for are outrageous. They really are. I mean, it's like what we're paying right now is what the brand new RV parks out there that have concrete pads and, you know, asphalt roads, all of this is what they're asking. Plus you pay the electricity, your electricity. And so now they're wanting us to pay 63% more of what we're paying now for a place that has potholes all in the road. The electric, I doubt very seriously it's even up to code. In fact, there are areas that is quite dangerous. And then you have the water problem. There is pebbles and everything else that comes out into all of our RVs. And even with the filter that we have on there on our end, there are pebbles and calcium deposits and everything else that actually burns up our hot water heaters. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gressett. Next is Joan Veit.
Joan Veit, 5701 Kane Drive. I'm back. But I've been watching you. I've been very ill, and none of you even brought me a taquito except for Paulette. So I'm ashamed of you, but I've been watching what you've been doing. I'm here to let you know that I'm back. I'm still not completely well, and I'm still old, but I can still hurt you. Now, I'd like to speak on Dr. King. You know, most of you were not even born when he was assassinated. I was. Lord, I was born when dirt was new. So I've been around a long time. What impressed me about the man was, in his other accomplishments, was I have a dream. I think everyone at some time in their life has had a dream. I did. When I went into law enforcement, I had a dream that we would not be called matrons and not able to ride in a patrol car, let alone drive one. My dream was fulfilled. When I retired as a deputy sheriff from here. I not only got to ride in a car, at one time I was in patrol and drove a unit. So I fulfilled my dream of being a deputy instead of just a matron, and could only work in the jail taking care of the female prisoners. My Lord, look how far we've come. But we're not there yet. We still have to worry about all the violence. I don't know what this world is coming to when like this, when I was even in my 30s. I have a grandson now that's been deployed for the 4th time. He's now in Africa and Somalia. I'm not happy. 4th time is too much. He was in Iraq twice. It was the Egypt conflict. He's a border patrol in Las Cruces, New Mexico, graduated last year with a degree in theology. I raised a good one. Okay? But you need to think about people having a dream. And if you can't run this city right and do the proper things, then why are you sitting there? And didn't you have a dream of sitting where you are now? I know a lot of you did because I helped you campaign. Okay? And I can campaign again for you or not. Thank you very much.
Next, Angela Snyder.
Hi, my name is Angela Garcia Snyder. I live at 22825 Park Road 25, Mathis, Texas, the Sunrise Beach Park. I'm also here in concern of the increase. I have been at the park since 2016. Since I have been there, I can honestly say the park has changed almost 80%. When we first went there, the water level was fine, and that's not anybody's problem. But now that the last 2 summers, we have had several of our boat trailers that have hit the cement pads where we try to go down because they're not maintained. Like Ms. Nana Green said, our road construction is pretty bad. Our trailers are sitting just on regular, just the dirt. And I understand the increase. It's going from 400 to 650. But there's no extra amenities. There's nothing saying that they're going to correct our electrical poles. Several times, the smallest little thing or a new RV comes in, I guess it's connected to one main pole. Several times it has literally busted out, caught on fire till we've had to have the AEP out there, like an emergency. We couldn't get a hold of anyone in the park, Mr. Lozano, any of the workers. We have had water mains that have busted because the pipes are so old. I myself have learned where a turn-off valve is. I'm a resident there. I'm not a park worker. I do understand that with time and change, price rates have to go up. There's increases. But when we have no amenities to show what the increase is for, $250 is quite a bit. I'm like everybody else. I work for an attorney, but I enjoy where I live. But if y'all would see the situation we live in, electrical goes out, we're responsible for that. But yet it's the city's equipment. So if y'all do want to make that price increase, it's literally 63%, then there'd be some changes, do some upgrading, something to show us what we're paying extra for. And we would probably be happy. But as the situation, to sit right there and just say, have someone come up and say, we need to do a price increase, and you've not been out there, and y'all are paying maintenance people to cut branches, and they're not. And I'm one of the few that can say, my windshield's been busted out twice because a tree limb fell because the trees aren't being maintained. So if y'all want to agree on this 63% interest, please show us what we're paying for the increase.
Looks like Mary Murphy.
Good afternoon. My name is Marion Murphy, and I also live at Sunrise Beach RV, and I am here with the oil industry, making improvements to our gas and crude pipelines to increase the capacity for our growth in the Corpus Christi Harbor and all the industry surrounding this area. And we are just here for short term, and most of us that live at the RV park work for other companies like Strike Industries and inspection companies, and we have homes in other cities. So we all landed at the RV park I'm speaking of because of the fact that we thought the amount was justified for the arrangements. But I'm just here to ask the council to please reconsider the increase amount from $400 a month to $650. That seems unjustified. And due to the fact that there's no improvements in the park, there's no upgrades to electricity, water, the boat ramps, the bathhouses, no new structures, there's no playground areas for any family members that want to come there for their children. The road into the park has got potholes in it, and it's not safe. And I would just like for the city to reconsider the increase or the amount. To reduce it, $650 is just unjustified to me for the condition that the park is in. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Gloria Scott.
My name is Gloria Scott. I live at 4422 South Alameda, apartment number 11. I wish to speak to the item L5, indicating or focusing on creating the Dr. Martin Luther King City Holiday for Corpus Christi. As background, I simply want to say that, as I mentioned earlier, for whatever reason, God enabled me. We were marching and were at the Lorraine Hotel when he was killed, and many other things. Pettus Bridge, I've been in many of those events. But it seems to me that people come around to go to many other things, and Corpus Christi has raised the reputation of being something that is focused. And as we're trying to diversify the South, especially Texas, it would be fantastic, I think, to create a Dr. Martin Luther King Day here as a holiday here in Corpus Christi. When the statue was put in Washington, D.C., thank God I was there, it creates and it attracts a number of people throughout the country and into the world who are visiting to come and see. And this would be an excellent thing to add to Corpus Christi as a place for people to come and to recognize. When Coretta Scott King died in Georgia, and her body was placed in the area where Martin Luther King's casket and so forth are immortalized, it was a very, very special time for me to be there and to see and to think back throughout my life how it had intertwined. And I would be happy to see and work with anybody to help make Corpus Christi to make a national holiday, a city holiday, Dr. Martin Luther King Day. Thank you.
Terry Mills.
Hi, Terry. How you doing? Fine, thank you. So let me just get in here, and I'm going to read something. Good afternoon, Terry Mills, NAACP President, 1519 North Chaparral. I'm going to read you some letters from various elected officials from State Senator Juan Chuy Hinojosa, State Representative Abel Herrero, and State Representative Todd Hunter. This is from Senator Hinojosa. Dear Mayor McComb, as you deliberate and have discussion regarding a proposed ordinance authorizing the observance of Dr. King Day as an official city holiday of services, please know that I support the effort, but defer to you and the city to make, to you and the City Council to make the decision you feel free is best for our city. The state of Texas recognized the third Monday as Dr. King's birthday as an official state holiday since 1991. This day is for the community, family, neighbors, friends to celebrate and honor the legacy of Dr. King. It is a day for us to remember the impact of his word, service, and example so that they can live in it with us forever. My hope is that we all continue working to follow his pursuit of equality and justice. As a leader of the city of Corpus Christi, you know what is best for the community you serve. I look forward to continue working with you, and we'll close with this situation that's going on. This is the way, this time is always right to do what's right. This is from State Representative Todd Hunter. I urge the city of Corpus Christi to recognize annually Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a city and celebrate in recognition. Not only does the holiday recognize Martin Luther King Day as his significant accomplishments and messages, the holiday and the recognitions promote civil rights, civil justice, and building on stronger communities. I hope that you will recognize this day annually, and I support all efforts in doing so. This is from State Representative Abel Herrero. Dear Mayor McComb, I write to express my full support of the community efforts urging the city of Corpus Christi and City Council to designate Dr. King Day as an official city holiday. As you know, Dr. King dedicated his life to securing political, education, social, and economic equality for all people. Officially designated MLK is a city day would reinforce the city commitments to ensure Dr. King legacy. And we will continue to unite and to improve the lives of the people in our community. For this reason, I fully support the community efforts to ensure Dr. King's Day as it should be. Thank you very much, State Representative Abel Herrero. And I'm just asking, because I have just a few seconds left, you know, we as, and I use myself as an African American, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants who have paved the way for me. As minorities up on the city council, you have done the same thing too. So I'm asking that y'all support this day, because you know what, it is something that is over needed and it needs to be done now. Thank you for your time.
John Clapp.
Good morning, afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is John Clapp. I reside at 15517 Palmyra Avenue in Corpus Christi on Padre Island. I moved to the island in 2013 for two reasons. One, my sister lives there, and two, at apparent safety and security. However, in the last several years, we've seen crime increase on the island. In the last month or so, we had at least one car stolen, one was crashed, totaled. We've had, in the last month, 2 shootouts on the island. It is my understanding that at one time in the past, there was a police substation. It would be nice if we could get one back. Another concern is people are concerned with people maybe coming onto the island via the boat ramps. And we would like, please, to have cameras put on the boat ramps. And that's about it for me today. Thank you very much. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. And I was wondering, could I sign your safety pledge? Have a good day.
Yeah,
What's back here? Okay, we'll get it to you.
Yeah.
Next is Shirley Thornton. Oh, he wants to sign it right now.
Okay. I'm Shirley Thornton, 1917 Woodcrest Drive, Flower Bluff. First, I'm here to thank all of you who made it to the Flower Bluff Citizens Council meeting last night, where we launched the Respect FB campaign. And we thank you so much for being there, because that in and of itself is respectful. Second, I'd like to make a proposal regarding making MLK Day a paid city holiday. From what I can tell, each of you has respect for a man who rose from the common people to be a great leader, never elected to office, kind of like Ben Franklin, you know. MLK is worthy of recognition, As any kid can tell you, he's in the top 3 most chosen people for kids' research reports, right behind George and Abe. Schools don't have to observe the day as a holiday, but most do out of respect for the man. But all of this that is required in schools is to rearrange their yearly calendar to accommodate it. No additional funds are needed to pull it off. The funding, it seems, is a sticking point for some of you. This topic came up while I was talking with this really smart guy I know. He's a great leader, kind of keeps a close eye on the tax dollars entrusted to him. And out of the discussion came this. You could propose this day be added as a paid vacation day, 1, to honor the man's memory, 2, to reflect what other cities do for their employees, and 3, to allow city employees to be with their families, especially the kids who are already home for the day, but do it as part of the next budget cycle. For this year, give the day, but choose 8 days or whatever it might take throughout the year for the city to be open for business an hour earlier or an hour later to recoup the daily payroll cost for the city. Then use the obesity awareness campaign funds for the overtime pay. Extended hours now and again do benefit the citizens as well. Not everyone can make it to City Hall to take care of business during the regular 8 to 5 day. By doing this, respect is shown for everyone. It's just an idea. I don't even know if it's one that you can pull off, but I thought it was, I don't know if this is a word or not, I thought it was share-worthy. And I didn't use my 3 minutes as I typically do, so you're welcome.
Sylvia Tryon Oliver. Okay. Henry Dornack.
Hi, actually, howdy. My name's Henry Dornack.
Sir,
Oh,
can you
wrong
speak at
place?
the podium? Yes.
That's usual for an 81-year-old. My name's Henry Dornack, and turns out I've been where you guys are. I was on city council at El Campo for several years. You guys got a lot of stroke when you use it, okay? I'm here, I moved here a couple of years ago. Great city, great people, enjoy the heck out of it. I mean, turns out, wife and I are both elderly, and we get a lot of respect. People help us all around. It's just a great city. Really enjoy it. Where I live on the island. But I got here and I had a problem. I fly. I have a small plane. And I found out Corpus Christi does not have a general aviation airport. Doesn't sound like much, but it is. Now, in order to put my airplane here instead of in Wharton I pay $180 a month for hangar. The only place you can hangar here is at Intercontinental at $1,000 a month. That's a little tough for an 81-year-old, okay? Well, you say, well, how about somebody else? Port A's got one. They got an airport. They got hangars. If you build one, but you can't build one. They're privately owned, but there's no land. So that's out. The question is, actually, Corpus has great opportunity. First off, to build a GA airport is expensive. The land, the airport, the runway, the fence, man, that costs you a fortune. You have 2 fantastic semi-used airports here that the Navy owns. One in Flower Bluff, one close to Intercontinental. They don't have much traffic. The Navy gave Conroe their airport. Army gave Palacios, Victoria. All these military is given lots of airfields. I don't know if anybody's ever asked the Navy if they could either give the airport, say Flower Bluff, to the city so it'd have a GA airport. The idea of the GA airport, I'd be happy to build a hangar. If, for instance, that becomes a GA, I'd be happy to build a hangar there. Because you keep an airplane outside, it goes to pot. So right now it's in Wharton. But it turns out GA brings a lot of business. It brings tourists to town. It brings a lot of stuff there. But I want to go real quick to some of the grants. I'll pass this out later. But there's grants given to GA. For instance, Shoals got $5,180,000 last year. Muleshoe got $2,098,000. Marfa got $3,955,000. There's a list of all this money is given by the state aviation to the cities for general aviation airports. You guys could get Somebody asked the Navy and say, hey, give us that airport. If you don't give it to them, we could joint use the airport. That would be great. They use the Intercontinental, they use all the others, they use Victoria, they use that. In fact, they go there because the GA has got nice meeting rooms. You go there and you'll find it there. And you go around, you'll see military airplane at all these places. But it'd be nice if you guys could get us an airport.
Thank you. Karen Scott. Karen Scott? No? Okay. Oh, there she is. Okay.
I'm talking in behalf of Karen Scott. My name is Regina Trevino, and she wants to let everybody know about Sunrise Beach. The price to increase it, and there's a lot of long-term residents there that want to. They don't want this to happen, so they, sorry, I'm just a little nervous. They just want to be able to retire there and not pay that much because they're on a fixed income. Some of the stuff there is, not accessible, like the ramp, and then the bathrooms are not good either. And we just, everybody doesn't want to make that payment, $650 a month. And if y'all, go out there and look at it, you'll see what we're talking about. Thank you.
Janet Maxwell.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Janet Maxwell, and I reside at 4350 Ocean Drive, condo number 803, and I'm a lifelong resident of Corpus Christi. I'm here asking the council to approve changing the name of William Street to Lomax Street, which is item 46. My husband Buzz and I own a building on William Street, and for years owned a second building on North Chaparral that had a loading dock on William. For 25 years, we've had trouble with mail, clients not being able to find us, and trucks going to Williams Street on the south side rather than our place on William. We get calls saying they cannot find us. Our tenants have the same problem. All tenants on William Street are in agreement that the name should be changed. And I see the family working so hard to make downtown a better place, and it's been on my heart for the past 2 years that the name of William Street should be changed to Lomax Street in honor of the Lomax family for all that they have done and continue to do to improve our downtown. I know that you cannot name a street after a living person, and I am not proposing the street be named after a person. I'm proposing that we honor the Lomax family by naming the street Lomax Street. You have the power today to vote to change the street name, which is long overdue, and at the same time honor the Lomax family. I ask that each of you vote yes to make that change. Thank you very much.
Jewel Kim McGuire.
Good afternoon. Thank you for giving me this 3 minutes. I'd like to thank all the law enforcement officials here, officers. Last week was Law Enforcement Appreciation Week. Thank you, Chief, and your staff, and any other jurisdictions. My address, 15533 Dinah Street, 78418. I live on the island. I'm an island resident. I'm not any different than any of you, not whatsoever. It just happens I live over the bridge. I pay taxes just like all of you, You know, I gripe sometimes, just like all of you, including all of you sitting up there. We have likes and dislikes. Yeah, I use social media. October 17th, Michelle and James Butler from New Hampshire love this area. They camped out on North Padre Island. They were brutally murdered, buried in a shallow grave from around sand face to face. Okay? December, we had an aggravated robbery. Okay? And just most recently this month, there was gun shooting, crossfire. A neighbor friend of mine, Adam, with kids, his house got shot at. And if you're a parent or if you got relatives with kids, just put yourself in that situation. You know, the island used to be known as a quiet place. Nothing ever happens. I've been watching what's been happening since 2017. I went to a board meeting, POA board meeting, and warned the board or requested their help, speaking with all of you or whatever was needed, you know, to help. Keep an eye on this. And sure enough, the island is not a quiet place as once before. Is it still beautiful and quiet? Sure. But there is a trend that's happening. You know, there was multi-agency that went to the island, and I believe on separate occasions have made major, I believe it was meth house arrests. So the crime in Corpus Christi, and we know all across the country, crime has risen. It has. And all of you, law enforcement, you got limited resources, taxpayers don't want higher taxes, and so forth, and so goes. I'm here today for hope. The professional, someone said on Facebook, hey, let the professional deal with it. No, it's citizens' responsibility and accountability, working with all you professionals to do our part, make ourselves safer and for our families and neighbors. But we also need to work with you and request you to do what you can to looking at how you manage systems and processes and help us so we can live in a safe, secure community. Otherwise, people will start moving, which it already has. People from elsewhere that wanted to move are not moving. Thank you.
Thank you. Roland Garza. Roland Garza? No? Okay. Barbara Handy? Barbara Handy? Jacqueline Galvan? Okay. Daniel Peña. Oh, here she is. Okay, good. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Jacqueline Galvan, and I live at 409 Cape Lookout Drive. And I'm here to urge the City Council to approve Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a holiday. My grandfather, Bobby Galvan Sr., attended Corpus Christi High School, where African Americans couldn't attend the same way as whites did, and this was wrong. And at the time, African Americans couldn't go to restaurants and eat where others could, or use the same water fountains. They couldn't do the basic things that everybody should be able to do, and this was wrong. And my great-grandfather thought so too. My great-grandfather, Rafael Galvan, built the Galvan Ballroom in 1949. The ballroom was integrated from day one, years before the rest of the city was. He was also a founding member of LULAC, and he believed in equal rights for all. And he's part of the reason I'm standing in front of you today. Like my great-grandfather, Martin Luther King Jr. was a man who inspired others to break down the barriers of segregation. As a result, our schools, our restaurants, and many other public establishments are free of segregation. And I have marched at every single Martin Luther King Jr. Day march in Corpus Christi for the past 15 years. And I plan to march again this year. Corpus Christi is one of the largest cities in the nation, and especially without government recognition of this holiday. We're the 59th largest city according to population. The times are changing, and the size of our incredible community is growing. And it's time our government made a change too. On behalf of all young people of Corpus Christi, I urge you, the City Council of Corpus Christi, to approve a holiday honoring Martin Luther King Jr. Thank you.
Daniel Peña.
How you doing? Daniel Pena, 2813 Holbert Street, Corpus Christi. Today we're here, or I say we because we came as a Hillcrest Resident Association, which I serve as the vice president. And recently in our CAB meeting, the city planning department has brought up a subject about adding the west side to the north side, and we haven't had any conversation about it. We don't know what it's about. We'd like for you to direct perhaps the planning department to meet with us and tell us what exactly, because they're going to ask you to sign on something, and we don't even know what's in it. So I don't know if you do or not, but we'd like to know if you're including us in something that we should know about. I guess in the past, it's I guess historically, the north side has been recognized by the boundaries of Port. And so we don't know if they're generalizing Hillcrest because they invited Hillcrest residents to these meetings. So then we don't know if they're calling the wrong crowd to the meetings, or have they changed it? Have they moved the boundaries, or we'd like to know all of that. We don't have any information on what they're doing or how they're doing it, who they're including or not. So that's what we asked today, is that you ask them to meet with us. And that's it for me. And maybe one other thing was that you guys are, the ordinance accepting a grant for the Ed Rochelle. We're in District 1, so hopefully, if not, then we'd like to have a conversation about that too. They're trying to look at this grant for the $50,000 for overtime for police and what have you. So since we are part of District 1, we'd like to be included in that conversation. That's it. Thank you.
Robert Gonzalez. All right. Joel Mumford. Clarissa Guidry.
Hi, my name is Clarissa Guidry. I work for Phillips 66. We have a project in this area, Corpus, and I live at Sunrise Beach. Recently, we were told that our rent was going to go up from $400 to $650. That is over 50% of what it was. I'm sure people are going to pay it. A lot of people are going to pay it. We've already had at least 1/3 of the park that's already moved out. I feel like if you're going to tell us that you're going to raise it, then just say we're going to raise it because we can, instead of saying that we're going to raise it because we're comparing to all these other different campsites that are around here, because there is no comparison. I've did my homework. I looked at all these other camp places. They don't compare to ours. We don't have a spa. We don't have a store. You can buy ice at our office. That's it. We don't have a tennis court. We're not on the beach. We don't have Wi-Fi. We don't have cable. We don't have any of these things at all these places that you are comparing it to. So I just want to say that I don't feel like it's right. If you're going to raise it, and just say we're going to raise it, and that's it. But don't give us a reason when there's no reasoning behind it. I'm not trying to make anybody mad. I'm just trying to make a point. Thank you.
Margareta Fratila. She's not on. Oh, Miss Handy. Oh, okay. Roland Garza and Barbara Handy, I called them earlier and they weren't available, so they're.
Hello, Barbara Handy, 2113 Coleman Avenue. I just want to come up here and thank all of y'all up here for listening to us regarding the Lamar project, especially you, Mr. Roy, for going out there into the neighborhood, walking the neighborhood, not being afraid, being brave. But I do thank all of y'all for listening to us, to our concerns, and everybody in the neighborhood right now is pretty much at peace right now with what's going on. So we just want to thank you and make sure that you know that we appreciate you, Mr. Roy, for coming out and walking the neighborhood and taking a stance. Okay, that's all.
Rolando Garza, Saxon Heights. Mayor and Council, Mr. Councilman Everett Roy goes without words. I mean, it goes beyond words to express the gratitude that the minority, the invisible people, that I call them, the forgotten, and those blighted neighborhoods appreciate you so much. I had Miss Rodriguez who was 82 years old, and she said, if you go up there today, she goes, can you hug him and give him a kiss for me? I said, I can't do that, you know. So for Miss Rodriguez, she sends you a lot of love. Your courage that you exhibited by not only coming to the neighborhood, you made his choice to call us to come to their neighborhood. And that's awesome. That takes leadership. That takes responsibility. And for that, we thank you so much. There's more I want to say about you. You walk the neighborhood. That's a tough neighborhood. And you buy biscuits there, don't you, Mr. Garza? Yeah. But you came in the neighborhood and you saw the homelessness, the diversity of the homelessness there. People making drug deals in front of you. You walked the streets with us. You weren't afraid that I saw. I was glad to be with you because you're bigger than I am, you know. So I said I got my bodyguard here, you know. But you know, it takes extra courage from a councilman. It really does. I mean, it really does for someone to come out and don't think that it went unnoticed by the poor people that live in that very poor, blighted neighborhood. They really took. They were really watching that, and they said, "Was that who is that?" And they said, "That's your council member. He chose to come out here on his own, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and listen to the folks." And the result has been, for now, okay. The Ed Rochelle Foundation, I want to thank them as well too. They're an awesome organization doing work over at the Our Lady of Guadalupe. Did you know that, Rudy? They have a big program where they're helping minority children, almost identical neighborhoods of blighted, impoverished, low-income families. And the Ed Rochelle Foundation is doing a tremendous, tremendous job with Our Lady of Guadalupe. Maybe something can be done there where they can work together with St. Joseph Church. We hope that for the future. I also like to see some leadership from the council as well, maybe down the road, that there should be an ordinance put in place that no child, what Martin Luther King talked about in his speech, was one day his dream was that all black children and white children could one day play together in harmony. And I've got the speech here in my pocket, but I remember it vividly, without sex offenders that are a threat to them. Near any school that's private, parochial, Catholic, Methodist, Baptist, or Greek Orthodox, or, let me just give you seconds, or any Head Start program, child care program, no children and no school, no programs like that. Leadership takes responsibility by taking care of its own, and starting out with the children, which is your most precious, valuable, and your most precious asset. And we all value our family and our children. Thank you, Gil. Thank you, Roland. Thank you, Mr. Hunter. Thank you, Ms. Fajardo. I thank you all. Thank you, Mayor, as well.
Margareta Fertilla.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here today to say Happy New Year and to give a lot of thanks and praise to our city manager. We have a reason to celebrate, I said. Everything that was for the past year, the problem of water, I think that through resignation of one of employees from the city, it's going to be solved. And I remember last time when we were in one of the senior center and presenting the budget, I told to the city manager there are somebody that really need to go. So through your exigence in work and imposing whatever rules, I think that you can do it. So congratulations.
Advisory committee with the Harbor Bridge. And it came to pass that we brought about a plan, a neighborhood plan that we worked for the past 18 months with the TxDOT, and some of the city planners were around for that particular plan. And it came to our attention that that your West Side Development Plan is underway, and you guys are getting input for that particular plan. That's well and good, and appreciate that particular effort because it's supposed to happen. My question and concern about is that we have put 18 months inside of a program and a process that we think that is valuable for the citizens in Hillcrest residents, that neighborhood. And what concerns me is basically I think that your plan has been piecemealed. And the way it's been piecemealed is that you have people over in Washington Coast separated from individuals in Hillcrest. And I think that that's called divide and conquer as far as Hillcrest resident, and that particular area is one area, one geographic area. And in your plans, you have been separating that for time immemorial. As far as I was on the Planning Commission and in RTA, basically planning is basically taking a group of people and seeking out their objectives and goals and trying to collaboratively put them into your plan. And since our citizens have provided a plan that we would like for you to take a look at or have it inside of your plan, we would especially have you guys to look at the plan that we've been putting together for the past 18 months. And you can obtain that plan in TxDOT's proposal for that neighborhood hiking bike trails. You have the whole amenities that are there. So we'd encourage that you would have your planners, city manager, to work with us in that particular process. Thank you very much.
Mr. Taylor is the last person signed up on the list. At this time, if there's anyone else who'd like to speak, can you please indicate so now?
On my way.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Axel.
Good afternoon to our city council members. My name is Claude Axel. I reside at 741 Crestview Drive, 78412. I was to have deferred until the agenda item, but because of kinds of things that I really need to be doing, I thought it would be best if I would speak now. First of all, I'm thankful to have been asked to address the city's not honoring the national holiday for the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And after pondering this dilemma, the first thing that came to my mind was this: what would Dr. King say to our city officials in this new decade of the 20s? Well, this great civil rights activist leader would possibly remind our city council that Corpus Christi is the only top 10 city in the state of Texas who does not give its employees this national holiday off, while local school districts, governmental agencies, and the port give their employees off. Secondly, Dr. King would probably remind our city council members that his stand against social, racial, and economical injustices was not just a fight for black people, but his fight was for people of all races who were and still are being discriminated against. Thus, the Martin Luther King Day is a holiday for all people. I want to repeat that. All people, regardless to their color. He would continue by reminding this council that many local community leaders, like Barbara Canales, Paulette Guajardo, Ben Molina, Mark Gonzalez, Coretta Graham, and former city manager Margie Rose would never have been in leadership positions as they are had it not been for the courage and determination and the drive of Dr. Martin Luther King. Finally, let me take a moment to address this issue from Claude Axel's perspective and issue this challenge to all of our council members. You can be a thermometer and live things as they are, or you can be a thermostat and change things around you. So Mayor, City Council, and City Manager, on this day, January 14, 2020, become an agent of change and do the right thing. Ignite the spark and make this a city holiday in support of the King's dream of nonviolence, love, courage, social justice, leadership, and racial equality. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is John Medina, and I want to thank Gil the last time that I was here for allowing me to speak, and I know that they were trying to skip me, get me. Somebody else got in the way at the time, but I just want to acknowledge that. I've called several times here to the Corpus Christi to speak to Peter Zanoni, and I've left many messages, and I've never had you return my call, and it's been several times. As you all know, I am going to be running for Corpus Christi, and you know, I would like the respect if I do call and leave messages to be called back, just a common courtesy. And there's many problems here in Corpus Christi that are occurring, and I'm looking at a lot of things that are happening. The roads are one of the things that are very disturbing. The residential roads. Last week they came and patched my road. They did a coal mix and they made a big mess. I don't know who's looking over this, but it's and they're doing it all over the place. I know that the mayor is running, and he's trying to look good. You're trying to look good, and I get it, but we just can't be doing things halfway. If you're going to do the roads, not just because you're running, you got to do things because you take pride in what you want, because you want to do things for the citizens of Corpus Christi. I'm going to take pride in what I do. And I expect everybody else that is here, the councilmen, to do the same, to step up and do for the citizens that voted you guys in. You know, I haven't met many of you guys, but I've gotten to know some of you guys, and I would like to actually get to know you guys a little bit better. And I don't want to come out here every time and be negative. And I do know that if you do not know the negative, how can you know the positive? So again, I would like for you to, Mr. Zanoni, please give me a holler. And what else do I have to say? The Harbor Bridge. Too many problems with what's going on. I knew about it way before. And the mayor, the current mayor, was here at the time. I had a feeling that was going to happen, and sure enough, it got stopped. Now we don't even know when it's going to end. But that's all I've got. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, the public comment period is closed. Thank you. Mayor, can you turn your microphone on, please?
several people made comments on item number
5.
Where did I wrote it down somewhere? 16. So when we get to that one, if we could have some staff or somebody that's
Yeah, we have.
related to that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we have staff ready to address that issue.
All
now.
right. Well, it's a little after 1. Our next item is the city manager's report. I would
Mayor,
like to-
did you want to move up the
Well,
Harbor-
as
oh,
part of.
I'm sorry.
As part of his report, I think if you'll make your report and then introduce who's going to give us the update on the Harbor Bridge.
Okay, we can do that, Mayor.
Yes.
Okay,
That's
great.
item-
Well,
That's item 51, for those of you that are interested in the following, that we're moving up to be a part of the city manager's report, or we'll move into that.
yes. Great, okay, thank you, and we probably have already said it, but welcome back, Mayor and Council and members of the community from our Christmas and New Year's festivities. January begins the second quarter for the city's fiscal year, and in the very near future, I will be providing a progress report on how we have done as a city from October through December. That was our first quarter of the fiscal year. That update will include updates on some of our key budget initiatives, as well as our first quarter financial report. So we can expect that in February. In my engagements with the community, and I think same for you, we're continuing to receive positive feedback on the progress that we're making here in the city. And the good news is that there's a lot more to come from myself and from my team. So this is a great city to be in, and we're looking forward to progressing forward. This morning, I did want to highlight some of the major initiatives that we're working on today. This is just a few of them, but just to bring them up to your attention, as well as to the communities. So beginning with North Beach, I know we had a lot of conversation on North Beach just before the break. Staff is currently working on a request for qualifications that we will issue at the end of this month, and we'll share it with the City Council before it goes out. We're expecting to release that on Monday, January 27th, the RFQ, to help advance that project forward. Councilman Smith's aware of this, but the development, the development and the meeting of our Airport Services Task Force, that group is in place, and our first meeting is set for Wednesday, January 22nd. That committee will share with you the list of committee members, and that committee will help us have a conversation about how we can improve our air service here in Corpus Christi. It's a joint partnership with the United Chamber of Commerce in the city. On our desalinization efforts, we know we had that as well just before the break. We are scheduled to submit our water rights and discharge permit applications to the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. Those applications will be submitted by the end of this week. The City Council gave us approval back in December to do that. Our utility trust fund analysis and recommendation, that'll be coming forth to the City Council in terms of the progress that we've made to date. Development Services, led by Al Raymond and Michael Dice, have been working pretty diligently with a real engaged stakeholder group. And on January 28th at the City Council meeting, they'll be making a progress update to the full City Council on that item. And then Cole Park Pier, just to round off some of the issues we're working on. Councilman Molina and I were there this weekend checking out the pier and the park. And the update on this is that we'll be having, Councilman Molina will be hosting a Facebook Live event to give the community an update on how we're progressing with that. So I don't want to share too much more than that so we can get people to watch that Facebook Live thing coming up. But it's all good news, so. Okay, great. So with that, let me turn to one of our own city employees, Constance Sanchez. Is she here? Yes, she's here. Great. So recently, the Corpus Christi YWCA named our Chief Financial Officer, Constance Sanchez, as a Y Woman in Careers honoree for 2020. And the program honors professional businesswomen in the Coastal Bend who have made a significant impact in their career field, as Constance has. There were only 8 women that were chosen among the nominees for this year. Constance will be honored at the YWCA's Y Women in Careers Awards Banquet, which will take place in March, and the city will have a table, will be there to help recognize Constance. The YWCA has honored 283 women since the program's inception in 1979, and the program encourages and celebrates women who make a positive impact, and it also raises funds for YWCA programs and missions. So just let me turn my attention to Constance, and everybody congratulate her for, Thank you, Constance. And diversity is important. We've heard a lot of citizens talk about MLK, and diversity is important, and so is youth diversity. I want to talk to you a bit here about an emerging professionals high school internship program. The city participates in this program, and we're currently accepting applications for high school student interns for the next school year. So for next school year, beginning fall 2020, we're accepting applications for interns in this program. The city partners with local schools for this year-long program. It's designed for senior high school students with an interest in careers in accounting, business management, and hospitality management. The students are paid as well, $10 an hour. That's pretty decent. The internship has 7 departments with students in it today. So today we have several students working with us. The applications opened up for the next school year, beginning this fall. So just contact us for more information there on how to be a participant. And then finally, the Islanders basketball. So the men's and women's basketball is hosting a City of Corpus Christi Employee Appreciation Day this Saturday at the ABC Center. The great news is that employees will get into the games free. This is sponsored by the Islanders basketball, and their guests will get in at a reduced price. The tickets the games start at 1 o'clock with the women's, and then 3:30 with the men's. You can buy tickets online, and if you do that, you'll be eligible to have a court-side seat. They'll be doing a lottery. So buy those tickets now. We look for a lot of folks to be there Saturday. Okay? Okay, so with that, we're going to turn our attention to the Harbor Bridge, and we have several presenters that are going to speak to this item, Mayor and Council.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for having us today and inviting us to come up with an update. Especially want to thank the city staff for working with me in this new role. I'm Lynn Allison, the new Public Information Coordinator for the Harbor Bridge Project. Is Julie coming? Oh, I want to start by introducing my team here. We have just a small picture of the vast, exciting group of people we have working on this project. But this is our Deputy Project Manager, John Palmer, who has 30 years of construction experience and studied construction engineering and management at Oregon State, specifically in industrial and commercial infrastructure projects. Most of you know Daryl Chambers. I know Sarah and all the traffic folks know Daryl. He's been with the project since we started in 2015. Has also 35 years of experience. Daryl's our manager of traffic engineering and operates. He and I work very closely together to make sure traffic updates are current and all the signage is out there with dynamic message boards, etc. Then we have Lon Grassman, who's we refer to as Dr. Lon. He has a PhD in biology from Texas A&M and has 15 years of experience working in construction as it relates to environmental issues. I have about 15 years of experience in working in public affairs, but I'm relatively new to construction, and I'm actually quite enjoying it. So believe it or not, today we're here to talk to you and give you an update on the progress and milestones of the Harbor Bridge project. So with that, I can see here. We're going to go through this in order of, oh, is that it? Oh, here we go. Oh, good. Okay, so we're going to talk about this in kind of an organized format with the project overview and bridge aesthetics. And here we go. Then I'm going to let John and Daryl kind of talk through the construction update and traffic impacts and utility work. And then I'll get back with you on project communications. And we're happy to take your questions along the way or wait till the end, however that works best. I'd like to point out today that I am wearing my RTA vest and representing us, even though none of us could be there for this special event today. And I want to remind you all that I am also a civic volunteer as we're going through this presentation, so be nice to me. So the project scope is, and many of you have heard some of this, but I'm going to go through this quickly, and these are important details, but we're going to get, like I said, into the updates. The project scope is, this is 6.44 miles of highway construction, and the total project length is 6.44 miles. So the actual bridge component is less than 20%. The base scope of the project is new 6-lane Harbor Bridge, 6-lane sections of US Highway 181, and that involves the approaches leading up to and away from the bridge. The reconstruction of approximately 1.6 miles and of Highway 37 and 1 mile of Crosstown Expressway. Then, of course, demolition of the existing bridge, and also in our contract is a 25-year operating and maintenance contract to maintain the bridge. So here we get into a fun visual that is a depiction of the scope and size of the new bridge. It's at the highest peak, the main tower heights are 538 feet, which that is 130 feet taller than the south tower of, some of us old Corpus people call it One Shoreline Plaza, but American Bank Building. The main span, the middle section of the bridge is 1,655 feet, and the total main of which you can find on our website, and each one of these is a different map that if you'll go to on the harbourbridgeproject.com, you can click on, and it'll obviously be a lot easier to see, but you can see future traffic patterns from when all this construction winds up, and it starts to make a lot more sense of what you're dealing with around Leopard Street and North Staples Street here as you look at some of these maps. As far as our project communications, we have a variety of ways that we reach out. It's not just about our city, the stakeholders, huge stakeholder in the Port of Corpus Christi, Nueces and San Patricio counties, and the MPO and the CCRTA. We have customer groups that are vastly interested throughout this community, all the way to Portland and, Bishop and Driscoll. And one of my jobs is to go out there and deliver a version of this presentation to these different groups. I met with the Nueces County Historical Society last week and the 21 Club at First Baptist Church last week and delivered a similar presentation with Daryl's help. All those little ladies love Daryl. And then we have a updated website, which is very user-friendly. You can click on the top sections of our website and go down and enter an email address. If you want us to email you updates in a big group email, we can. Anyone who's interested in obtaining media or photos from our website just has to click on the, agreement box there. All of our traffic advisories, which like I said earlier, I work with closely with Daryl. We have sometimes 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. Sometimes we have 1 or 2 every 2 weeks. But those are uploaded to our Facebook page, to our website, to our Twitter groups, and we have a big closed group of city stakeholders, and several people in this room are on that list that receive those traffic updates. Several people from the port and the CCPD, CCISD, of course, is a stakeholder, and the RTA. We have other outreach events, which we plan to resume the Sidewalk Talk soon. That's been a very popular event, and this position that I'm in now was vacant for a while, so that was part of what happened with the Sidewalk Talks kind of falling off. But we're working on dates for that this spring. We have Breakfast with the Builder events for our North Beach residents, where they're invited. We're looking at March 5th or March 12th, 13th, to host a breakfast for them at Fajitoville, where we bring several of our contractors and managers and representatives from the Texas Department of Public Safety to come out and talk to them at a panel level and answer their questions. We are doing the same thing for the Community Advisory Board. In March, we'll do a breakfast for them at Howard's Barbecue, where we can have sort of an informal question and answer session. And that includes, Washington Coles and Hillcrest neighborhoods. So that's just a glimpse of how we communicate and update our stakeholders. With that, that kind of concludes our presentation, and we'll take turns answering your questions, or I can go back to any slide that you may want to reference.
Thank you all, and thank you all for coming in. John, you mentioned the approach span, the segmental units that you're hoping to move the gantry in June, but on the northbound side, has that work on that been suspended because of the engineering issue, or are you progressing with that? I haven't seen any activity since December.
No, all the work on the northbound side and south approach, all that road works is all continuing on. The only part that's on pause right now is the main span part of the bridge, basically the part that's over the water is the part that's on hold right now. So we will be finishing erecting all that approach on the north and continuing on to the south.
Okay, so you're not working on the north for other reasons then? There's that. Mm-hmm.
No, it's picking back up as of right there, right after the holiday.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I guess we got the 900-pound gorilla in the room here. There was a little press release last Friday saying that engineering firm was terminated for the main spans by TxDOT. What is that going to do to the project? Do we have any kind of timelines now?
No, there's no timeline as of yet. What our company executive right now trying to figure out what that is, what does that mean, and what does that mean for the project. As far as if we look at the is for the project, the cable stay portion of the portion of the bridge, it really represents about 16 or
Sir, you're off mic. Just push it and let it
there
go.
it goes. Yeah. So yeah, that represents about 1/8 of the project. If you look at say the dollars, the man hours, the linear foot of the whole project or whatever, it's a small component of it. So we have a lot of work to do besides the main span of the bridge.
Okay, but it's helpful to have that main span to get across the channel, right?
Oh, exactly. Yes, very critical component.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess what we're hearing, there is no time, that we currently do not have a completion date.
Yeah. And
do we have a timeline on when we're going to have a timeline?
Well, that's what's being worked out now too. And also, I know TxDOT has told us that they'll be the one that'll do the release when we have come up with an update on the engineering issue.
Okay. A cause of concern in the community out there because of this is the safety issue of the bridge, where engineer of record is no longer the engineer of record in the spans. Could you?
Every time we try and set up seismic monitors around there to keep an eye on that. So far, we haven't seen any seismic activity close to the project that's beyond, say, residential damage levels. So we are definitely keeping an eye on that.
Okay.
We also have permanent monitors over there by the aquarium and those areas there to keep a baseline of what's going on too, and make sure we're not affecting any of those businesses.
Okay, thank you. How are we to be assured that the design work to date is correct and ensures long-term public safety? And I know you somewhat touched on that, but given the circumstances today, how is it?
Yeah, so both us and TxDOT have, and TxDOT has an agency that reviews all our submittals and packages and helps us evaluate those. So everything up to date, everything that we've poured and put into place, and everything that we're working on, the approaches and roadworks has been, I guess you want to say double and triple checked. So.
Okay. And are you still moving forward with design build? With
Yes,
the new?
on everything except for the main span.
Okay. And I think you just answered my next one was, will you be releasing a timeline for the public to know moving forward?
Yeah, it'll be TxDOT that'll make that release, but
Okay.
yeah.
And I understand that the reports are regularly updates, I guess you could say, reported over to our streets department. But I think it'd be beneficial to the council if we received regular reports on how the progress is going. Is that
Something we can do, yeah.
great?
Can you, if you don't mind, Councilman Wahardo, can you be a little more specific, or maybe Manager Zanoni can fill me in on the best way to do that?
Yeah,
You could do some type of maybe a monthly, I know you,
Yeah.
a monthly
The monthly
report.
so that we know, and we're, especially under the circumstances that we're under, that we know how things are progressing.
Yeah, it could be just in the form of a short memo,
Right.
memo or correspondence that we could, we could distribute to the council.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure, of course.
Mr. Roy?
So I have two questions. Early on, I believe, when we first discovered that the company that was managing that part, that there were issues, we thought that because it was a different type of suspension bridge, and, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, that there wasn't going to be an issue as far as continuing a relationship. So we've actually terminated our relationship, or you have, with that company. In terms of other companies out there that do the same thing that they do, is that a finite number? I mean, are there a lot of companies in terms of replacing them? Is that something that you feel is going to take? Is that a expedited process, or is that going to take some time? You said that it's an eighth of the project, but it's an important eighth. I mean, is there a lineup of companies out there that specialize in that type of suspension?
I mean, I know just from my experience with bridges, where there's at least, I mean, there's quite a few, but there's at least 4 or 5 I know the names of out there that our executives are probably reaching out to now.
And is there anything that, in terms of looking at those companies, that specifically that you're going to look at to make sure that there's no repeat of what happened, I guess, down in Florida?
It'll probably be their resume on cable stay bridges. That'll probably be the main attraction as to what their experience is with cable stay bridges, because the bridge in Florida was not a cable stay bridge. Yeah.
In terms of cost, do you think that this is going to have a direct impact as far as increasing the cost of this project? And
Don't know at this time. We're still trying to evaluate, you know, the issue of getting somebody on board to look at it and figuring out what the path forward is, and the timing of it is the most important thing. And the public safety is the most important thing.
I'm going to make assumption that the lowest bidder may not be the best in this case. Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Hernandez?
Mayor, thank you. Just, and forgive me if I didn't hear this before, but in terms of traffic studies, and since things are going to be changing on this, you know, particularly on North Beach and some other areas in terms of how traffic enters the bridge and gets off the bridge, are we responsible by that from a city perspective, or are you assisting with that? What's the how is that working? What is your responsibility there?
We've been we did traffic studies for the schematic phase of this project early on back in 2015. Also, as far as identifying routes, we are providing highway signage for getting onto and off the bridge for all the major areas of town, including North Beach. You know, North Beach has had a concern that they're losing an exit, but we still have routes identified to get people off the highway and back to all the major tourist attractions and facilities in that area. Same thing for the downtown, getting out of the C district or any of the other areas.
Okay, in terms of traffic studies, have you shared that with the city, with our folks here?
If they were shared specifically with the city staff, I do not remember.
Yeah, we're gonna have, if you don't mind, the city's gonna have to conduct a traffic study for North Beach specifically.
Well, I'm not just referring to North Beach. Thing that has to do with how it's going to affect traffic coming into, you know, on and off the bridge and off the new on-ramps and off-ramps. If we can have some coordination to make sure that we're addressing those issues so we're not surprised by anything.
I have been working closely with city staff, but as far as if these were actually shared with them, I cannot remember that. So I will work with your traffic section and TxDOT on this both.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Hunter?
If we didn't have the engineering design hiccup, how far away would we be before construction started on that area? About a year or two? Before the middle of the bridge?
Oh, you mean without the,
If we didn't, we would still be pretty far away from beginning the construction on that portion of the bridge significantly. So do we have the ample amount of time that we need in between now and when we're supposed to start construction to figure it all out? Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, I was nodding, but I think the answer to your question is no, but could you rephrase it, please, or repeat it?
So last I heard, and this, we hear a lot of things up here, and it can all be very true or all be
So do
very
we.
exciting. That we were approximately 2+ years behind. This will push us back a little bit further, but not necessarily, because the construction of this portion of the bridge is the final phase of construction, because you're connecting the two sides of the bridge. So therefore, we do have a significant amount of time to finish this engineering.
It's really
Hiccup.
unknown is the
Sorry.
answer. We really can't give you a timeline with the 2-year existing
Sure,
delay.
sure. Thank you, though.
Mr. Molina?
Thank you, Mayor. This comment is really for City Manager Zanoni. It's kind of timely, I guess, right now with the construction of the bridge and the reconstruction of Martin Luther King Drive, and we're going to be talking about Martin Luther King Jr. Day later on today. Wanted to know if we can update the sign. Currently it reads Martin Luther King Drive, and I believe the intent was to honor Mr. King, and so I believe the sign should read Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. And so I just think that right now would be an opportune time to update that.
Okay, we'll take care of that, Councilman.
Okay, I don't see any other, you mentioned drainage, and I'm still trying to visualize Leopard going up and coming off the bridge going under. And it makes me, when we have these sudden downpours, that the current structure, I mean, that is subject to temporary flooding when you get rain right there at the Leopard Crosstown intersection there, where we're talking about. If you're coming down Leopard and it's flooded, well, you can see it and you can slow down, but if you're, and I'm assuming part of that drainage addresses that, but if you're coming off of that bridge and then all of a sudden swooping down and we've had a big rain and you're gonna start hitting 6 or 8, 10 inches of water, or is that gonna be elevated enough, even with Leopard Street being elevated more, to accommodate that? Because that's a low point in the road.
yeah, the grade does change there, and it'll be raised up a little bit. That's the reason why some of those bridges got raised up there too, Comanche and some of those other ones, because we changed that whole grade all the way through there. But it is gonna go underneath Leopard now, and so basically 181 tying into Crosstown Expressways is gonna be underneath all that.
Right.
And those loop ramps and everything else will be above that. But the salt flat channel has all been redone right there in that area, and taking into account the volume of water that comes in where it started right there. All that drainage came off of the city, coming in by Mestina over there, and went down into those box culverts there. That's all been reconfigured, and I think now some of that area is almost 4 times the volume that it was before. So, well, at least when we're done, the bottom part is done, but the upper part we still have to work on, and we changed the volume of that through there, so.
Okay, because just experience is that's, you get a big rain on a short period of time, that floods, and
yeah,
if you're coming at 60 or 70 miles an hour off that bridge and all of a sudden you hit this pond of water versus, but, okay, I figured you did, but I just wanted to ask ahead of time. Mr. Roy?
Yeah, sorry, I had one other question. It's been a while since we talked about the wetlands area on North Beach, and just, I know that early on we moved that site, and we moved the site to was it 16 acres, or I can't remember.
Sure.
But
So
how was that?
It was a city parcel there
Yes.
by the RV park.
Yes.
On the north side of North Beach. So
Mr. Roy, to update you, that was planted in August of last year, as per the Army Corps of Engineer permit. And part of that permit says, okay, and was 2 acres, essentially, just under 2 acres is what we planted, and the rest was held in preservation, about 12 acres. And as part of that permit, we will do an assessment actually next month, because it's been 6 months after the planting, to see where are we, what has survived, what has died off. You know, it's a moving target to make sure we meet the threshold of at least 50% survival. So if you go there today, you see the wetland, that's what will be assessed next month to see where we are with that, with keeping the commitment.
Okay. And can that just, when you update, we talked about update, can you just make sure we get an update on that? I know that, I was just curious, I know that that was going to be a little bit challenging as far as with the move and that.
Yeah, it was, in fact, because it was planted during a very hot, dry part of the season. So it was challenging, and, you know, we have survival. We'll find out what the real number is here next month, and, yeah, we'll move forward with that, certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, well, we appreciate you coming in. I think a lot of people, particularly after last week's conversations, were quite interested in this, and I appreciate you changing your schedule to be moved up in our agenda, and hopefully now you can get back to work, start working on the bridge.
Thank you, Mayor.
But,
We're happy to be here too, and I would be remiss if I didn't introduce Julie Lugo, who's also been with this project nearly since it started, and she's kind of the nucleus that holds us all together, and she and I work closely together, and I'm very dependent on her knowledge. And I just wanted to let you know that we are all equally